ॐ शुक्लाम्भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकम् हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீர்யம் மகாபூஜ்யம்
Bathroom sorry.
சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே जगदः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्री पार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേന്താത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Right. Pritiji, can you do Dasakam 9? And who wants to do number 10? Venkat Garu, can you or Pratibha Garu do 10 or?
Yeah, we can do 10.
One of you can do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Start with 9, yeah.
Dasakam 9, Jagat Srishti Prakara Varnana. स्थितस्स कमलोद्भवः तव हि नाभिपङ्गेरुहे कुतस्विदुदमम्बुधौ विदितमित्यनालोकयन् तदीक्षणकुतूहलात् प्रतिदिशं विवृत्ताननः चतुर्वदनतामगात् विकसदष्टदृष्ट्यम्बुजाम् महार्णवविघूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं तु नालोकयन् क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतिस्विदुदमम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात् अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृतनिश्चयः स खलु नाळरन्ध्राध्वना स्वयोगबलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कळेबरं दृष्टवान् ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगोमार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान् निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमादते भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धो लसत्प्रबोध विशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम् किरीटमकुटोल्लसत्कटकहारकेयूरयुं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरं कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदयि भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितं श्रुतिप्रकारदर्शित प्रचुरवैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दृष्ट्या दृशोः कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे भुवननिर्मितौ कर्मठाम् इति द्रुहिणवर्णित स्वगुणबंहिमा पाहि माम्.
The first line, that Shruti Prakara, I think you said Prakara, it's Prakara, okay?
Shruti Prakara, okay. Shruti Prakara-darsita Prapura Vaibhava Sripate Hare Jaya Jaya Prabho Padamupaishi Dishtya Drishoho Kurishvathiya Masume Bhuvana Nurmitau Karmatham Iti Druhina Varnita Soguna Bamhima Pahimam Lepasva Bhuvanatrayi Rachana Dakshatam Akshatam गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे भवत्वखिल साधनी मयि च भक्तिरुत्कटे तुदीर्यगिरमादथाः मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटे तुदीर्यगिरमादथा मुदितचेतसं वेथसम्.
I think the way you said before was correct. Girama dadaha, and then there is a pause. Mudita chetasam vedasam.
Oh, okay. Lapasva bhuvanatrayi rachana dakshataam grihanamadhanugraham kuru tapascha bhuyo vidhe bhavatvakila sadhani mayi cha bhakti ratyutkate tudirya giramadathaha mudita chetasam vethasam satam krutatapastataha sakhalu divya samvatsaran अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम् उदीक्ष्य किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्बल विजृम्भितः पवनपाथसि पीतवान् तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजा निर्मितौ तथाविध कृताफलो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैर्ईक्षितैः. Sri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha.
Very good.
I have a question on this chapter. Can I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead.
When the first line, Is it Stitasya or Stitasa?
Stitasa.
Okay. Thank you.
Stitaha sa. It's actually stitaha and sa, and that visarga becomes a is. So stitasa.
It's not Stitasya.
No, stitasa.
Thank you. And also, some places for the, say, for example, in the second stanza, the second line, it's tanumtu nalokayan. And sometimes it's pronounced nalokayan. Is there a difference?
No, I mean, I think it is just the way you are saying it. So, for example, you could say, Maharnava Vighurnitam Kamalameva Tat Kevalam Vilokya Tadupatrayam Tavatanum Tunalokayan. I can cut it off there if I want, but when you're saying it sometimes in a tune, you go Tavatanum Tunalokayan. It stretches sometimes. So it is either is okay, it is just a way of saying it.
Thank you
But as
very
long as
much.
you're ending it with in, you're okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Venkat Garu Pratipaksa Purvanti.
Dasakam 10, Srishti Vedaha. Vaikuntavarddhita balodbhavat prasadat ambojayo nirastujat kila jiva dehan tanuni bhuruhamayani tata nirascham jatir manushya nivahana pideva vedan.
The fourth line, first word, you change it to Jatim. You might have Jatir in some books, change it to Jatim. Okay.
Jatim. Mayyagrahasmi Matiraga-vikopabhita Ajnana-vrittimiti panchavidhamsa srishtva Uddamatamasa-padartha-vidhana-dunaha Tene tvadiya charana-smaranam vishuddhyai.
That's like the first line, first word, Mityagrahasmi.
Vidyagrahasmin Tavas-sasajja manasa sanakam sananda Bhuyas-sanatana munim cha sanatkumaram te srushti-karmani tu tena niyujyamanaha tvatpada-bhakti-rasika jagruhurna-vanim tavat prakopa-muditam Tosya Bhrumadyato jani mrudo bhavekadeshaha Namani me kurupadani chaha virinchet ya Adaurroda kilatena sarudra nama.
That word will come, the third and fourth line will come together. Virinchet Yadav in one flow.
Virinchet Yadav. Okay. Ekadasha vayataya cha Vibhinna rupam rudram vidhaya daita vanitascha dattva tavanya datta cha padani bhavat pranunnaha praha praja virachanaya cha sadaram tam rudrabhisrushta bhayadakruti rudra sandha Champuryamana bhuvanatraya bhita chetaha Mama praja sujatapaschara mangalaye Yachashtatam kamalabhur bhavadiritatma Tasyaya sarga rasikasya mariciratrihi tatrangira kratum munih Pulaha pulasyaha angadajayat bhruguscha vasishtadakshau Srinaradascha bhagavan bhavadhandridasaha
First line, first word. First line, first word. Tasyata.
Tasyata. Dharmadika nabhasrujannatha kardamam cha vanim vidhaya vidhirangaja sankulo bhut tvadboditais sanaka daksha mukhais tanujaihi Rudbodhitascha virarama tamo vimunchan.
Fourth line, it becomes Udbodhitascha. Because of Tanujaihi, we are putting the Visarga there, right? So it becomes Udbodhitascha Virara.
Udbodhitascha. Okay, yeah. Tanujaihi, yeah. Vedan Purana Nivahanapi Sarva Vidyaha Kurvan Nijanana Ganas Chaturana Nosau Putreshu Teshu Vinidhaya Sarga Vruddhim Aprapnuvam Stava Padambuja Mastrito Bhut Janunnapayamaya Dehamajo Vibhajya Sri Pumsabhavam Abhajatma Manuta Vadubhyam Tabhyam cha Manusha Kulani Vivardhayam Stam Govinda Maruta Puresha Nirundi Rogan
Brahmani Namaha.
Brahmani Namaha.
All right, so let's start with Dasakam 11 today. It's a small Dasakam. So let's see. So I had Bhuvana, you can be a student, and Shashireka Garu, can you be a student? First half.
Yes.
All right. So Dasakam 11 is the title is a pretty long title. You know, at least in my book, it has Sanakadinam Vaikuntha Pravesha Varnanam Jaya Vijaya Shapa Varnanam and Hiranya Kashipu Hiranyaksha Utpatti Varnanam. So 4 different things happening in this Dashakam. So stanza 1. Kramena sarge parivardhamane kadapi divya sanakadayaste bhavat vilokaya vikuntalokam prapedire maruta mandiresha. So in the last Dashakam, we saw how the creation had started, right? And the various personalities started coming from Brahma. We saw Marichi, we saw Atri, then we saw all of them coming. First we saw Sanaka, Sananda, Sanat Kumara, Sanatana. The 4 Sanat Kumaras come out first, right? They came from the mind of Brahma. So now we're going to go through what happens to each of them. So now everything that's going to come, each of these characters are going to start coming, right? So the Sanat Kumara, these 4 Kumaras, as they're called Sanat Kumaras, but there are 4 of them, right? So they, of course, they're all born from the mind of Brahma. So they're all very realized soul. We saw in the beginning itself, they said, we are not interested in the process of creation. We just want to be always devoted to the service of the Lord. So they continue to remain like that. So because of that, they can travel anywhere within the Brahmandam according to their wish. Now, they do not have any material sense gratification like we all have, right? So they do not have any wishes, but they always have one desire, which is to always worship the Lord. So they once felt like they want to be able to go see the Lord in Vaikuntham itself. So they decided that, let's go to this Vaikuntham. Now, they are not, remember, I always clarify it. They do not go to the Vaikuntham, which is outside the Brahmandam, because they cannot go there. So we said there's a Vishnu Loka, which is called as a Karya Vaikuntham, which is inside the Brahmandam, which is a replica of the main Vaikuntham, which is outside. So everything remains the same. So in that, so they decide that they want to go to this Karya Vaikuntham, and they decide to go there. At their will, they can go. And the Sanat Kumaras, the 4 of them, even though they are the people who have come right after Brahma, they always remain small boys. So they travel around the world as if they're very small children. That's how they always remain, and that's how they decide to travel, and they're roaming around, and they decide to come to Vaikuntham. So, Kramena Sarge Parivardhamane, Kadapi Divyaha, put is Divyas Sanakadayaste Bhavat Vilokaya Vikuntha Lokam, Prapedire Maruta Mandiresha. Kramena Sarge Parivardhamane Kadapi Divya Sanakadayaste Bhavat Vilokaya Vikuntha Lokam Prapedire Maruta Mandiresha.
क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकादयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकादयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश
क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकादयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश क्रमेण सर्गे परिवर्धमाने कदापि दिव्यासनकादयस्ते भवद्विलोकाय विकुण्ठलोकं प्रपेदिरे मारुतमन्दिरेश.
That's two. मनोज्ञनैश्रेयसकाननाद्यैः अनेकवापी मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनोपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वरः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः. So we saw in the fourth Dashakam about Ashtanga Yoga, right? This 8 levels of. So all of these realized souls have that control. So because of that, they've also reached, they also have the Ashta Siddhi. Like we say, Ashta Siddhi Navanidike Data par Hanuman, right? So the Ashta Siddhi, because of which they can become heavier than the heaviest, they can become lighter than the lightest, and all of that stuff. So very easily, these Sanaka, Sanat Kumaras, they can go anywhere between the 14 worlds in the Brahmandam very easily, in a fraction of a second, right? They can reach anywhere they want. So they reach this Vaikuntham, which is inside the Brahmandam. Now, in Vaikuntham, this Vaikuntham, which is there, is a replica of the main Vaikuntham, which is outside. Like I was telling, when the world Brahmandam was getting created, like, sometimes when you cannot go to the main place, the Lord creates a smaller version of it, which is a replica, because we are not able to go there. So we get a replica that gets created, right? So it is exactly like that. And we also saw how even when Brahma was able to, in the first time, when the Brahma, like we said, he was able to zoom in and see into the Vaikuntham, he saw everybody in Vaikuntham resembled the Lord, right? Everybody had Chaturbuja, everybody was looked the same. Similarly, even this Vaikuntham, everybody is the same. Everybody looks just like the Lord. And everything in there is also spiritual in nature. What I mean by that is, in the earthly world, the tree, if you look at it, has a certain amount of material energy which is there. The humans have a certain material energy which is different from the trees, which is different from the animals or insects, right? We're all evolved at various levels of energy. But in Vaikuntham, when you look at it, it says everybody is the same. There's no difference between somebody who's like a tree or somebody which is who's like a cow or somebody who's like a fruit. There's absolutely no difference. Everybody is the same. Everybody's focus is to worship the Lord. They all may take different forms depending on what it is, but they all are the same. So anyway, so these Sanat Kumaras, they all reach Vaikuntham, and then they go through Naishreyasa. So this Naishreyasa is considered like it's very loosely used like a garden, right? I can use that word very loosely. It's a place in Vaikuntham, right? Which is very beautiful. So they pass through that Naishreyasa, the thing, and then they go through 6 different doors, 6 different entrances which are there to Vaikuntham. So they pass through all of those 6 different doors, and then they reach the 7th door. So Manognya Naishreyasa Khananadhyehi. So put a visarga at the end of that line, comma, Khananadhyehi. Next line, the Ra becomes A. Aneka Vapi Mani Mandiraischa. Anopamam Tam Bhavato Niketam, comma, Munishwaraha, put a F, Munishwarah Prapuratita Kakshyaha. Manognyanaishreyasakaananadhyehi anekavapi manimandireischa anopamam tam bhavato niketam munishwarah prapuratita kakshyaha.
मनोज्ञनैः श्रेयसः काननाद्यैः अनेकवापि मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनुपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः मनोज्ञनैः श्रेयसः काननाद्यैः अनेकवापि मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनुपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः
मनोजनैः श्रेयसकाननाद्यैः अनेकवापि मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनुपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः. मनोज्ञनैः श्रेयसकाणनाद्यैः अनेकवापि मणिमन्दिरैश्च अनुपमं तं भवतो निकेतं मुनीश्वराः प्रापुरतीतकक्ष्याः.
Answer 3. भवद्दिदृक्षून् भवनं विभिक्षून् द्वास्तौ जयस्तान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धां तेषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन्. So the Sanat Kumaras, they do not have this concept of what is mine, what is yours, and any of that stuff, because they're all like, they're number 2 in the line, right? So they're very realized souls. So for them, they decided that they felt like they wanted to see the Lord, so they decided to just come there. And Vaikuntham for them is no different than any other region, right? So anyway, they pass through all these gates, and then they come to the 7th gate, and at the 7th gate, they saw two beings which were standing there, and they looked exactly the same. They were, like I said, because Vaikuntham, everybody is be looking like the Lord. So they also had Chaturbhujam. They also had Shank, Chakram, Gada, Padmam. They also had all of those 4 things. They also were blue in color. They look exactly like that. The only difference between them and the actual Lord itself is they do not have the Srivatsam mark and they do not have the Kaustubam jewel. Those are the only 2 differences. Otherwise, they all look the same, right? Because they're always worshipping the Lord. That's all they do there. So these beings, so the 2 people who were standing at the entrance there, so Jaya and Vijaya were the 2 folks who were guarding that 7th gate, the final gate. And when Sanat Kumaras and everybody come there, so they are, first of all, they are very realized. And when they came in, these people forbid them from entering into it. So because they said, you are not allowed to go in right now, for whatever reason, right? They stopped them. So when they stop them, of course, these realized souls generally do not get angry because they all reached that state. But in Bhagavatam, it explains very beautifully. They call it as anger is nothing but Kama Anuja. Anuja means younger brother. Kama means desire. So he says you get anger is a younger brother of desire. Now, like I said, what desire do these people have? Their only desire was to see the Bhagavan himself. So that was the desire. So they had that small desire in them. And because their desire was not getting fulfilled, they had this slight frustration which was coming out because somebody was blocking them from seeing the Lord himself. So that is why they got a little bit angry. That's what it says, Kopa. They got a little bit angry here. Now, Bhattacharya, of course, very beautifully always explains that nothing in this world happens without you intending it for it to happen. So it says here, that's why Sarvam Bhavat Prerana Eva Nunam. Woman, although they got a little angry, although they were forbidden, it says it was all because of your prompting. You decided that these doormen have to stop these 2 people, which caused them to, the Sanat Kumaras, to get a little bit angry here. So Bhavat Didrikshun, so double the there, Didrikshun, Bhavanam Vivikshun, comma, Dwaha, and this Visarga there, put is Dwas Stau. So 2 is sounds comes. Dwas Stau, Jayastan, Vijayopya Rundham, 1 word. Tesham cha chitte padamapa kopaha, comma, Sarvam Bhavat Preranayeva Bhuman. Bhavat Didrikshun, Bhavanam Vibikshun, Dwastau Jayastan, Vijayopya Rundham, Tesham cha chitte padamapakopah, Sarvam Bhavat Preranayaiva Bhuman.
भवद्दिदृक्षून् भवनं विविक्षून् ध्वास्तौ जयस्तान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धाम् तेषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन् भवद्दिदृक्षून् भवनं विविक्षून् ध्वास्तौ जयस्तान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धाम् तेषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन्
भवद्दिदृक्षून् भवनं विविक्षून् द्वास्थौ जयस्तान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धाम तेषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन् भवद्दिदृक्षून् भवनं विविक्षून् द्वास्थौ जयस्तान् विजयोऽप्यरुन्धाम् तेषां च चित्ते पदमापकोपः सर्वं भवत्प्रेरणयैव भूमन्.
Stanza 4. वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवदाश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान्. So the sages then tell them that who are these two people who are in Vaikuntham but still have this kind of an attitude, right? That they're not able to actually let us to who? Why do they have this kind of a mentality? So it feels like these people are not right to be in a place like Vaikuntham where you're supposed to be already realized and you should treat everybody equal and all of that. There's something is wrong with these two folks who are now treating us different. Now you can counter argue saying that they are guardsmen, they're supposed to be doing their duties. So for whatever reason, they might have decided that these Sanat Kumaras are not apt or right to be able to enter. But the counter argument to that is given is you and I cannot just reach Vaikuntham like we wish, right? So to be able to go to those also, only the gods, and we'll see Brahma, a lot of these people go there. So they are already realized enough that they're able to go there. So the fact that they were able to go to Vaikuntham means that they're okay to be going there. So they should have been allowed, right? So that's a counter argument. Anyway, so no, so these Sanat Kumaras say that how can because these people are not letting us go and they are not acting according to the right ways, how could they be punished? Now, the important thing about punishing somebody is not to say just go stand in the corner and give a timeout, right? The punishment should be such that the punishment should teach them what they are supposed to learn. It should be a benefit as well so that they can learn from it, right? So the Sanat Kumara say, because you saw duality between you and us and different from the Lord himself, which you're not supposed to have in Vaikuntham, it should be Advaitam in Vaikuntham. And because you saw duality, we are cursing that you go down to the lower worlds compared to the Vaikuntham, where the duality exists. So where the Kamam, Krodam, Moham, all of this duality exists. So we want you to go through the journey till you come to the realization and you merge with the Lord. So till that point, we curse that you go down, right? So that is a curse that the Sanat Kumaras give Jaya and Vijaya. Now, of course, Jaya and Vijaya are also realized. So they realize that, what actually happened, and then they apologize to the Sanat Kumaras, but they know that once, the curse is given, nothing can be done, right, at that time. But they have one request. They say, we are right now in Vaikuntham always thinking of Bhagavan. We don't think of anything else. So even when we go down to these lower worlds and we have to go through this journey of seeing Advaitam, let us not forget the Lord at any moment in our life. So please bless us so that we continue to be always remembering the Lord even when we go down to those lower regions, right? So that is the prayer that the Jaya and Vijaya then do to the Sanat Kumara. So Vaikuntha Lokan Uchita, you can break that. Vaikuntha Lokan Uchita Pracheshtau, comma, Kashtau Yuvam Daitya Gatim Bhajetam. Daitya means Asuras. So Asuras means, it just means people who don't have that intellectual capacity, knowledge, and have a lot of bad qualities, right? Iti Prashaptau Bhavadashrayau Tau, comma, Hari Smritir Nostviti. So that word you have to say it together easier. Nostviti Nema Tustan. वैकुण्ठलोकानुचित प्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवदाश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान्.
वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवदाश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान्. वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवान् दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवदाश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान्.
वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवदाश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान्. वैकुण्ठलोकानुचितप्रचेष्टौ कष्टौ युवां दैत्यगतिं भजेतम् इति प्रशप्तौ भवदाश्रयौ तौ हरिस्मृतिर्नोस्त्विति नेमतुस्तान्.
That's okay. तदेतदाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या. So when this conversation is happening, so at that time, Bhagavan, Lord, he realizes what is actually happening outside. Of course, he knows what is always happening, and then he decides to now come out. So when Bhagavan comes out, anytime he's there to bless the devotees, he's always accompanied by Mahalakshmi. So he comes along with Mahalakshmi, along with Khageshwaram. Khaga means a bird. Ishwara means one is the lord or the king, right? So Khageshwara means the king of birds, which is referring to Garuda. So you, Lord, along with Mahalakshmi and Garuda, with your arm put over Garuda, you all walk outside, right? And then, of course, these Sanat Kumara, Sananda, and all, they've always realized, they've been meditating and they've been thinking about the Lord in their mind, right? And this is the first time they're actually seeing the Lord in person. So, of course, they're all like, they're extremely happy and they're in the state of bliss because they're actually seeing the Lord in person. So, Tadetadajnaya, you can say it together. Bhavanavaptaha, Sahaiva Lakshmiya Bahir Ambujaksha. Ambujaksha means one who's lotus-like eyes. Bahir Ambujaksha. Khageshwaram Sarpita Charu Bahuhu. Forearms. So put a visarga at the end of that line. Charu Bahuhu. Next line, the Ra becomes a A. Ananda Yam Sthan Abhirama Murtya. You can break it that way, it's easy. Ananda Yam Sthan Abhirama Murtya. तदेतराज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या.
तदेतदाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या. तदेतदाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या.
तदेतदाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या. तदेतदाज्ञाय भवानवाप्तः सहैव लक्ष्म्या बहिरम्बुजाक्ष खगेश्वरां सार्पितचारुबाहुः आनन्दयं स्थानभिराममूर्त्या.
प्रसाद्यगीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावत पार्षदौ तौ सम्रम्भयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतमित्यात कृपं यगादीः. So of course, when the Lord comes in front of them, the four sages, they also realize that they made a mistake as well, right? So for a very fraction of a second that they also lost their cool, right? And they got a little carried away because they were so wanting to see, and then somebody was blocking them. So like we said, the Kama Anuja, so they also got a little bit of a thing. So they praised to the Lord saying, first of all, please forgive us. We've also made a mistake, right? We should have also realized that we should have we should not get upset about these things. And then they pray that going forward, that, no matter what the situation is, that they do not get distracted from always praying to the Lord. So that's the prayer that Sanat Kumaras do, that even when some obstruction comes, even when all these situations come, we should not lose the focus, that our focus is to pray to you and not get distracted by all the other disturbances which are coming, right? So that's what Sanat Kumaras pray. And of course, the one thing here is, when you see this constantly now that we started getting into all these charitrams which are coming, is the word which will also come in Ambarisha Charitram is, Lord says, I'm always Bhakta Dasaha. He says, I'm always a servant of my devotees. People who are true devotees, I am their servant. So whatever they want, the Lord will do for them. And we'll see so many examples of that we're going to see, right? So this is one example. Because the Sanat Kumaras could not go in, the Lord himself is coming out, saying, you don't have to come in. I'm come out and then I'll see you there. You stay where you are, right? I'm coming there. So he comes there. Again, like I said, I use the word he very loosely here, so don't get worried about that. So anyway, so Lord comes there, and then he tells the Jaya and Vijaya that whatever you did was a mistake, because you saw this difference between these great people, and they are all great devotees of mine, and then you somehow found themselves to be inferior to you, that you were telling them no, right? Which you cannot differentiate between devotees. Everybody is a devotee, right? So you cannot differentiate that. And he says, as you are my guardsmen, so which means I take responsibility for your mistakes, right? So he tells Sanat Kumara, the Lord Narayana says, Sanat Kumara, I am responsible for the mistake the Jaya and Vijaya did, right? So please, you forgive me also, right? Because you didn't get a chance to come to meet me. And then he says, and he says, this is not the first time Jaya and Vijaya have committed this offense. Looks like there was another time previously where they had committed a similar offense with Mahalakshmi. So the Lord says, yeah, the curse which was given to you is the right curse, that you go through this. But he says, because you are my ardent devotees, because I want you to come back to Vaikuntham, you will go through this process called a Samrambha Yogena. That is what is coming in the third line here. So yoga, like I said, means yuj, root word, which means to join with the Lord. You can join the Lord in any way you want. Samrambha Yogena is the path where you join through the Lord through hatred. It's a faster way of joining. And when we do all these dasakams and we come to the last dashakam 88, when Krishna Avataram is kind of coming to an end, so it'll summarize very beautifully about all the different ways in which you can join with the Lord, right? So I'll talk about it at that time. But here the Sambrambha Yogena is a form where you are constantly thinking, but then you're not thinking in a positive way. You're always thinking in a negative way, but you're still thinking about the Lord all the time. He says, you'll take 3 births. And through these 3 births, eventually you both will attain me back. You'll come back as Jaya and Vijaya. So those are the 3 births that we'll see much later, where this Jaya and Vijaya are born as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. They're born as Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Shishupala and Dantavaktra. And then the Lord takes 3 different avatarams to get rid of each of these 3, each of these 2 in each of their instances, right? And finally, they come back and join. So, prasadya girbihi, put is girbis, stuvato munindran, put in munindran. Next line, the na goes away, it becomes a. Ananya nathavata parshadau tau. Sambrambha yogena bhavais tribhirmam, put im, tribhirmam, comma. Next line, the mu becomes u. Upetam ityata Kripam Nyagadihi. Prasadyagirbhistuvato munindran ananyanathavata parshadautau sambrambha yogena bhavaistribhirmam upetamityata kripam nyagadihi.
प्रसाद्यगीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावत पार्षदौ तौ सम्भ्रमयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतमित्यात्तकृपं न्यगादीः प्रसाद्यगीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावत पार्षदौ तौ सम्भ्रमयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतमित्यात्तकृपं न्यगादीः
प्रसाद्यगीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावथ पार्षदौ तौ संरम्भयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतमित्यातकृपं न्यगादीः प्रसाद्यगीर्भिस्तुवतो मुनीन्द्रान् अनन्यनाथावथ पार्षदौ तौ संरम्भयोगेन भवैस्त्रिभिर्माम् उपेतम् इत्यात कृपं न्यगादीः.
Stanza 7. त्वदीयभृत्या बत काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरावुदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाभिभान्यौ. So now we're going to fast forward, right? So that incident gets over there. So the Sarat Kumaras, they all go back. They saw the lot, right? So they go back. Now we come down and then go in the future. So we saw from Brahma, two folks who came. One was Daksha, we saw, and Marichi. So Marichiratrihi, we saw that one of the stanzas in the previous Dasakam, right? So this Marichi had one son called Kashyapa Muni, and this Daksha had a daughter called as Diti. So this Diti and Kashyapa were married, and Kashyapa was actually married to 17 daughters of Daksha. We'll see that it's going to come later. So what this Diti is one day going and telling Kashyapa is that, all the other wives of yours, my father got 13 or 17 of us married to you. All the others who are married to you, they all have children. I somehow do not have any children. So she says, I really want to have some children through you, right? She has a desire to have children at that time. So Kashyapa Muni says that the time you are now coming and asking me is a very inauspicious time, because he says this is now in the evening time frame, right? It is at the evening and a transition time. It's Pradosha Kalam at this time right now. So at this time, you cannot engage in such acts. This time is meant for worship to Shiva, because this is the time Shiva is walking out with his Bhuta Ganas and everything. And you should spend the Pradosha Kalam always worshipping Shiva and not doing any other act, especially no sexual acts, right? Which is what Diti wants to do. So, but somehow Diti has this passion in her at this time that she says that I'm not able to wait, right? I really want to have children with you and I want to do it right now. So then Kashyapa then finally succumbs. He says, what you're going to do is a wrong decision. And then, they both, come into union. So after they do that, then Diti realizes the mistake she did. So she says, you know what, I think I made a mistake, right? I got carried away. Now I'm worried that what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to the children who are going to come off me, right? So Kashyapa says, you're right, that what's going to happen is the children who are going to be born to you are going to pretty much terrorize the entire world. They're going to be extremely evil. So they're going to terrorize the world. However, the good thing or the blessing is eventually the Lord himself is going to come and he's going to get rid of them, right? So that is a positive thing, because they're going to they're going to die at the hands of the Lord, which is a blessing, right? So he says, however, you're going to have these. So to them, maybe that's going to come in the next stanza, so I'll wait. So to them are born, actually it comes here, to them are born twins. So it says Yamaucha Lokasya Yama Vivanyo. So the Yamau has two meanings. One is Yama Vivanyo. Yama is also means twins, and Yamau could also mean Lord Yama. So he says to them are born twins who are like Lord Yama to the whole world. In the sense they are terrorizing the world. So they're very evil. So two evil children are born to Diti and Kashyapa. So Tvadiya Bhrityavata Kashyapatau, Surari Veera Uditau Ditau Dhvau Sandhya Samutpadana Kashta Cheshtau, Yamau cha Lokasya Yama Vivanyau. Tvariya Bhrityavata Kashyapatau Surari Veera Uditau Ditau Dhvau Sandhya Samutpadana Kashta Cheshtau Yamau cha Lokasya Yama Vivanyau.
त्वदीयभृत्या वत काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरा उदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ त्वदीयभृत्या वत काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरा उदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ
त्वदीयभृत्या वथ काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरा उदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ त्वदीयभृत्या वथ काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरा उदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवानौ वाण्यौ.
That's 8. हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं रुषा न्यरुन्धां निजवासनान्धौ. So all of these things, right, are not happening in Earth. Okay, this is all happening in some other one of the planetary systems in the 14 worlds up, right? So when Diti was pregnant, right, she started, she felt something was unique. So she had 100-year pregnancy, is what it says, right? And then somehow the entire world was getting dark. The entire universe was getting dark. So when all these gods and all went to Brahma and say, what is happening? Why are all these worlds which are getting dark? So Brahma says that in the womb of Diti are two asuras who are going to be born, and this is an indicator of the bad things that's going to be coming. So anyway, to them are born two children, right? The first one who's born is called Hiranyaksha. The second one is Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu was conceived first, but Hiranyaksha is the first born child, right? So that's how but they're twins essentially, right? So Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu are born, and both of them, are gigantic size, and they have steel-like frames. There's a lot of description of how they are, right? But essentially, they were extremely evil, and they were kind of beginning to torment the entire world already from the beginning itself, and that was their only motto in life, right? So Hiranya Purvaha is there, put a ih sound, Purvah. Kashipuhu, put a ih again, Kashipuh, Kilaikaha, comma, Paro Hiranyaksha iti pratitaha, Ubhau Bhavannatam Ashesha Lokam, comma, Rusha Nyarundham Nija Vasanandhau. हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं रुषा न्यरुन्धां निजवासनान्धौ.
हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं रुषान्यरुन्धां निजवासनान्धौ. हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं रुषान्यरुन्धां निजवासनान्धौ.
हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथम् अशेषलोकं रुषान्यरुन्धां निजवासनान्धौ. हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथम् अशेषलोकं रुषान्यरुन्धां निजवासनान्धौ.
We'll switch halfway. Pratibha Garu can be student. Maithili, can you be student? Second half. Stanza 9. Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro Rana Yadhavannanavapta Vairi Bhavat Priyam Kshmam Salile Nimajya Chachara Garvad Vinadan Gadavan. So we said, both of them, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, right from the beginning, their only motto was to kind of torment everybody. And they also had done enough penance and they had got enough blessings, right? That Hiranyaksha also had got, that they cannot be easily killed by anybody else, right? So with that, Hiranyaksha was kind of roaming around the world, and, he went to the Devaloka, and they were fighting with Indra and all of the demigods. So they were always constantly battling with all of them, and they were roaming around with a lot of arrogance, right? With Hiranyaksha was roaming around. So this one first talks about Hiranyaksha. Hiranyakashipu is going to come later in 24 and 25 Dashakam. So Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro, comma, Ranaya Dhavan Nanavapta Vairi. So double na there. Dhavan Nanavapta Vairi. Bhavat Priyam Kshmam Salile Nimajya, comma, Chachara Garvad Binadan Gadavan. तयोर्हिरण्याक्षमहासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वाद् विनदन् गदावान्
तयोर्हिरण्याक्षमहासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वाद् विनदन् गदावान् तयोर्हिरण्याक्षमहासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वाद् विनदन् गदावान्
तयोर्हिरण्याक्षमहासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियाक्षां सलिले निमग्न चचार गर्भाद् दिनदन् गदावान्.
That third line, Bhavat Priyam Kshmam, Kshmam.
Bhavat Priyam Kshmam.
Yeah.
तयोर्हिरण्याक्षमः सुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमग्न चचार गर्भाद् दिनन्दन गदावान्.
Vinadhan Gadavan.
विलधन् गदावान्. विनधन् गदावान्. Sorry.
Stanza 10. Tato jhaleshat sadrusham bhavantam nishamya babhrama gaveshayam stvam bhaktaika drishya sakripa nidhetvam nirundhirogan marudalayesha. So when Hiranyaksha was roaming around, looking for people to battle, right? So because he had already won through a lot of the demigods, so he said, I want somebody equal who I can actually battle with. So he goes down to the lower worlds, which is ruled by Varuna, right? And Varuna, he says, I want to go battle with you. So Varuna says, no, you're looking for the wrong person. The only person who's equivalent to you, who you can battle with of your strength, is Lord Narayana himself. So he says, you go looking for Lord Narayana, right? And then eventually you'll find him. And when you find him, you then go battle with him. Right? With that, Varuna kind of distracts or diverts him. So with that, this Dasakam comes to an end, saying, Lord Guruyarappa, you can only be attained by devotees. Now, devotee can be any kind of devotees, right? Like I said, it could be, through the form, the Sambramba Yogena, or people who are looking for you, like Sanat Kumara and all of them. With that, this comes to an end. Oh, please eradicate all my ailments. Tato jaleshat sadrisham bhavantam, nishamya babhrama gaveshayams tvam bhaktaika drishyaha, put is bhaktaika drishyas sa kripanidhetvam, nirundhi rogan marudalayesha. Tato jaleshat sadrisham bhavantam nishamya babhrama gaveshayams tvam bhaktaika drishyasta kripa nidhetvam nirundi rogan marudalayesha.
ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्रान् गवेशयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्य सकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश. ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्रान् गवेशयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्य सकृपानिधे त्वं nirundirogan marudalayesha.
The second line, Nisham Babbrama.
Babbrama.
You are saying Babbram, it's Babbrama, not Imma.
Babbrama.
Yeah.
Tato jalesha sadrisham bhavantam nishamya babbrama gaveshayam svam bhaktaika drishyas kripa nidhe tvam nirundirogan
मरुदालयेश ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्राम गवेष्ययं स्वां भक्तेकदृश्यकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश.
Maitri Garu, that's a third line. Bhaktaika drishyas sakripa nidetvam. This is sa there.
भक्तेकदृश्य सकृपानिधे त्वं.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The last phrase, Marudalayesha, that da, is it ta or da, the soft da?
It's Marut Alayesha, two different words combined together. So Marudalayesha, it's the first da in Sanskrit.
Okay.
So the da is there, right? It's the first da. Marudalayesha.
Because in one of the other stanzas we saw Marudagara Natha. I think that was in Dasakam 1.
Yeah.
So that was a ta, right? Marudagara Natha.
Yeah, because it's Maruta Agharanatha. It's a different word. So here it's Marut Alayesha. So that it and a became a da here.
Okay.
So there it was Maruta Garanatha. So Maruta Agharanatha. So that's why it was the ta, a became ta in that case. It was just a Sandhi rule. That's it.
Thank you.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. That completes 11. So we'll start Dasakam 12. We'll do a few stanzas today. So Dasakam 12 is Varaha Avatara Varnanam, right? So the question that comes is, okay, so hold on. Like we always thought like, Matsya Avataram is the one that comes first, right? How is Varaha Avataram coming first? Because Matsya Avataram is going to come only in 32nd Dashakam actually, right? So that's because we should be very careful not to compare these avataram sequence to evolution and things like that, because these avatarams have nothing to do with evolution. Evolution has already happened. Brahma has already come, Marichi, Atri has already come, Sanat Kumaras have already come, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu all have already come. So Lord doesn't have to take birth as a fish to show evolution when all those beings and gods and demigods are already there, right? So we should not tie these two things together, because that's not right, right? It's us tying those things together. Nothing, Bhagavatam, none of them says it's talking about evolution, right? There's nothing about evolution. Lord can decide whichever form he wants to come for whichever purpose. Now, there are two, and we'll talk more about Matsyavataram when it comes in Dashakam 32. So there are two times when Matsyavataram briefly happens. One of them happens at the beginning of the Swayambhuva Manu, which is the first Manu, when the Lord comes, because the Hayagriva and Asura comes and steals the Vedas. So at that time, the Lord comes and then he takes a Matsyavataram to recover the Vedas. That's one time where it happens. Then a second time when it happens is the transition period between Chakshusha Manu, who is the 6th Manu, and Vaivaswata Manu, who is the 7th Manu. At that time, Matsyavataram happens. So in Bhagavatam and Narayaneeyam, Matsyavataram is talked about only in that context. So it is coming only in the 6th Manu. Right now, we are still in the first Manu, which is Swayambhuva Manu, right? So that's why in that Manu, the first avataram that happens in that is Varaha Avataram, right? The incarnation as a boar. So stanza 1. Swayambhuvo manurato janasargashilo drishtva mahima samaye salile nimagnam srashtaramapa sharanam bhavadangri seva tuštashayam munijanai sahasatya loke. So remember Swayambhuva Manu, who is the first Manu right now, right? So we saw in the 10th Dashakam how Brahma had Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, and they got married and said, you both start building on the world, right? Go create progeny and go grow this world. So the Swayambhuva Manu, he's now beginning to start the process of creation, right? So when he's starting the process of creation, he needs a place where, so he's being told that earth is the place where you have to go create for you. So Swayambhuva Manu says, okay, let me go start building the population on earth, right? So at that time when he's going and he's going to look for the place, when he's going to get there, he realizes the earth is not there. And what does that mean, right? The earth is displaced in water somewhere. Now, we don't know exactly what happened because this is happening billions of years ago, right? So there are a couple of interpretations of this, which I'll just share. I don't know what the actual thing happened either, right? So one of the things that is said is that the earth, of course, nothing was there in earth at that point, because everything now, some of these things we're going to see is only now Manu is going to start getting beings into the earth, right? So one was saying the earth was displaced in the Garbhodaka ocean, which is at the very bottom. Remember, I told you Garbhodaka Shayi Vishnu is lying, from whose Nabi the entire Brahmandam came about. So it is immersed in the waters of the Garbhodaka Shayi ocean, which is beneath the 14 worlds. That is one interpretation of it, for which the Varaha Avataram is going to happen. The second interpretation of it is, when the creation was happening and everything, you remember everything was completely filled with water, then it became air and everything. So nothing was existing. And then Brahma, then all the worlds started coming around. So one of the interpretations is the earth was still not created. The planet itself was not created. It could be one of these two interpretations. But anyway, the literal translation into says earth is immersed in water. There's no beings or nothing in earth right now. It is immersed in the Garbhodakashayi ocean. So when Manu saw that earth itself is not there, it is immersed, so he doesn't know what to do. So he goes to his own leader, which is Brahma, who's also his father from whom Manu came, right? So Manu is going and saying, I'm ready to create, but I don't see where earth is. I don't know how I can create anything. So Brahma says, this is not right, because this is not the time where earth should have been immersed. It should be there for you to create. So then even Brahma doesn't know why it has happened. So he then starts meditating on the Lord to understand the reason why earth itself is not there. So Swayam Bhugo Manurato Jana Sarga Shilo, Drishtva Mahima Samaye. So Mahim Asamaye. Saying this is not the time for earth to be not there or to be immersed. So Mahima Samaye Salile Nimagna Srashtara Mapa Sharanam, put a comma, Bhavadangri Seva, put a plus, Bhavadangri Seva Tushta. So you join those two words and then put another comma, Tushta. Munijanaihi. Visarga there, put is Munijanais Saha Satyaloke. So Swayambhuva Manu along with some munis, along with some other sages, go to Satyaloka, go to Brahma Loka to go and plead to Brahma. Swayambhuvo Manurato Janasargashino Drishtva Mahima Samaye Salile Nimagna Srashtaramapa Sharanam Bhavadangri Seva Tushta Munijanai Saha Satyaloke.
स्वयंभुवो मनुरतो जनसर्गशीलो दृष्ट्वा महीमसमये सलिले निमग्नाम् स्रष्टारमापशरणं भवदङ्घ्रिसेवा तुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके.
Pratibha Garu, the first word is Swayambhuvo.
स्वायंभुवो मनुरथो जनसर्गशीलो दृष्ट्वा महीमसमये सलिले निमग्नाम् स्राष्टारमाप शरणं भवदङ्घ्रिसेवा तुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके.
So that third and fourth, remember there's a comma after Sharanam and then after Tushta. Okay, in the third and fourth line.
स्वायम्भुवो मुनिरतो जनसर्गशीलो दृष्ट्वा महीमसमये सलिले निमग्नां स्रष्टारमापशरणं भवदङ्घ्रिसेवा तुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके.
Maitri Garu, first line, second word, Manurato. You said Muni, it's Manu, Manurato.
स्वायम्भुवो मनुरतो जनसर्गशीलो दृष्ट्वा महीमसमये सलिले निमग्नां स्रष्टारमापशरणं भवदङ्घ्रिसेवा तुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके.
Answer two. Kashtam praja sujati mayyavanir nimagna sthanam saroja bhava kalpayatat prajanan ityeva mesha katito manuna swayam bhuhu ambo ruhakshatava pada yugam vyachintit. I think I said some of this meaning in the previous stanza itself, but Swayambhu is referring to Brahma who's self-born, right? Brahma just came from the Lord, so he's self-born. So that's why Swayambhuva, because Swayambhuva Manu came from Swayambhu Brahma. So anyway, so Swayambhu Manu goes to Brahma and says that, you know what, I'm ready to create, but I'm seeing this, you know, the earth is immersed in water. So I cannot create beings because where will they be? So you have to help me out. And then when they go, so Brahma also doesn't know. So he contemplates. So he says, Amboruhaksha tava padam. Amboruhaksha means one who's lotus-eyed, referring to Lord Narayana. He says, Brahma then resorts to your feet because even he doesn't know the answer why this is happening. So he also goes into a state of meditation to try to understand the answer for why it is happening at this inappropriate time. So kashtam prajaha, put is prajas, srijati mayyavanir nimagna, comma, sthanam saroja bhava kalpaya tat prajanam ityevamesha katito manuna swayambhuhu. So put a visarga there and comma. Next line, the ra becomes a. Amboruhaksha tava padayugam vyachintit. Kashtam prajas sujati mayyavanir nimagna sthanam saroja bhava kalpayatat prajanam ityevamesha katito manuna swayambhuhu amboruhaksha tava padayugam vyachintit.
कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्य विनिर्निमग्ना स्थानं सरोजभव कल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेव कथितो मनुना स्वयंभुः अम्बोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तित् कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्य विनिर्निमग्ना स्थानं सरोजभव कल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेव कथितो मनुना स्वयंभुः अम्बोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तित्.
Pratibha Garu, the third line, first word, ityevamesha.
Oh, okay, my book has ityevameva.
Okay, just change it to sha, second sha. Ityevamesha.
Ityevamesha.
कष्टं प्रजा सुजति मय्यवनिर्निमग्ना स्थानं सरोजवभव कल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेष कथितो मनुना स्वयंभूः अम्बोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तीत् कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यवनिर्निमग्ना स्थानं सरोजभव कल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेष कथितो मनुना स्वयंभूः अम्बोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तीत्.
हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यपिभं पुरस्तात् अद्यापि मज्जति मही किमहं करोमि इत्थं त्वदङ्घ्रियुगलं शरणं यतोऽस्य नासापुटात् समभवः शिशुकोलरूपी. So Brahma was thinking, that when I was engaged in the process of creation early on, in the beginning of this kalpa, right, I had made sure everything was appropriate, right? So if you remember, he said that the water was there, it became fire, all of that was cleared. I had made sure everything was set up properly, right, for this creation to happen. So still, how is this thing happening? This is like not expected. So, Lord, you have to please help us. So when Brahma was contemplating, so from that person who was praying to your feet, from that nasa putat, from the nostril of that person, which is from the nostril of Brahma, emerged a very small creature, which is the shape of a boar. So kola is referring to a boar. So Shishu Kola Rupi means a very small sized boar, which is like a form of a child boar. Think of it that way. A small sized boar then emerged out of the nostril of Brahma when he was contemplating on the Lord as to why this is happening. Ha ha vibho jalamaham nyapibam purastat. Put the it at the end of that line, comma, purastat. Next line, the da, first da becomes a. Adyapi majjati mahi kimaham karomi. Itham Twadangri yugalam sharanam yatosya, and then put a plus. So third and fourth line together. Nasa putat samabhavaha, put a ish to join. Samabhavash shishu kola rupi. Ha ha vibho jalamaham nyapibham purastate adyapi majjati mahi kimaham karomi. Ittam twadangri yugalam sharanam yatosya nasa putat samabhavash shishu kola rupi.
हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यपिबं पुरस्तात् अद्यापि मज्जति महि किमहं करोमि इत्थं त्वदङ्घ्रियुगलं शरणं ततोऽस्य नासापुटात् समभव शिशुकोलरूपी हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यपिबं पुरस्तात् अद्यापि मज्जति महि किमहं करोमि इत्थं त्वदिङ्ग्रयुगलं शरणं ततोऽस्य नासापुटत् समभव शिशुकोलरूपी.
Third line, last word, sharanam yatosya.
Oh, yatosya.
Yeah.
Tathosya I have in my book. Yeah.
Change it to yatosya.
हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यपिभं पुरस्तात् अद्यापि मज्जति महि किमहं करोमि इत्थं त्वदङ्घ्रि युगलं शरणं यतोऽस्य नासापुटात् समभवसि शिशुकोलरूपी हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यपिभं पुरस्तात् अद्यापि मज्जति महि किमहं करोमि इत्थं त्वदङ्घ्रियुगलं शरणं यतोऽस्य नासापुटात् समभवशिशुकोलरूपी.
And so forth. Angushtamatra vapurut patitah purastathe bhuyot kumbi sadrushah samajrambhatastum abre tata vidamudiksha bhavantamuchaihi bismeratam vidiragat sahasunu bisvaihi. So initially when this boar comes out of Brahma's nostril, it was only the size of like Angushta Matra, according only the size of the thumb of Brahma, right? It's a very small sized boar, like a baby boar which is actually coming. And then this boar, when it comes out, it then goes up and then it starts becoming bigger in size. So it says first it becomes in size like an elephant, which means it's becoming bigger and bigger in size, right? So when Vidiraghat, when Brahma and his sons, Marichi and everybody, Swayambhu, Manu, everybody who's there, they all look at it in astonishment, like what is this thing that has come up? And suddenly this is becoming bigger and bigger in size, and they're all getting very wonderstruck as what is actually happening here. Angushta Matra Vapurut Patitaha is there, put a F, Vapurut Patitah Purastat, comma, Bhuyota Kumbi Sadrishaha, put a is join, Sadrishas, Sama Jrumbhatastvam, Abre Tata Vidam Udikshya Bhavantam Uchaihi. So it becomes a Visarga and comma there at the end, Bhavantam Uchaihi. Next line, you'll have a ir on top of Bismeratam, that ir goes away. Bismeratam Vidiragat Saha Sunubihi, put a is to join, Sunubisvaihi. Angushtamatra Vapurut Patitah Purastate Bhuyota Kumbi Sadrushah Samajrambhatastum Abre Tata Vidamudiksha Bhavantamuchaihi Bismeratam Vidiragat Sahasunu Bhisvaihi.
Quick question.
Go ahead, Shrika.
Is it Kumbha? I thought you said Kumbhi.
Kumbhi. Kumbhi, referring to an elephant.
Okay.
अंगुष्टमात्र वपुरत् पतितः पुरस्तात् भूयोत कुंभी सदृश समजुम्भतास्त्वम् अब्रे तथाविदमुदीक्ष्य भवन्तुमुच्चैः विस्मेरतां विधिरगात् सहसूनुभिः स्वैः अङ्गुष्टमात्र वपुरुत् अङ्गुष्टमात्रवपुरुत्पतितस्पुरस्तात् भूयोत कुम्भिः सदृश समजृम्भथास्त्वम् अप्रेतताविदमुदीक्ष भवन्तमुच्चैः विस्मेरतां विधिरगात् सहसूनुभिः स्वैः
अङ्गुष्टमात्र वपुरुत्पतितः पुरस्तात् भूयस्थकुम्भिस्तदृशः समजृम्भतास्त्वाम् अप्रेतताविधमुदीक्ष्य भवन्तमुच्चैः विस्मेतरां विधिरघात् सह सूनुभिस्त्वैः
Fourth line, first word. Sorry. Vismeratam.
विस्मेरतां विधिरगात् सह सूनुभिस्त्वैः अङ्गुष्टमात्र वपुरुत्पतितः पुरस्तात् भूयस्थकुम्भिसदृशः समजृम्भस्तात्त्वम् अप्रेतता विधमुदीक्ष्य भवन्तमुच्चैः विस्मेरतां विधिरघात् सह सूनुभिस्तैः
Sunu
सूनुभिस्वैः
Yeah. We'll do one more stanza and stop today. कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्थितो मे नासा पुटात् किमु भवेदजितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्तयति धातरि शैलमात्रः सद्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्. So Brahma and everybody is stuck with wonders. What is this thing that has come out of my nostril, right, without me knowing, that too in the form of a boar? And they all began to debate what is actually happening. And they saw how this, first of all, they have not seen a creature like this before. And this is coming, which is just the size of a thumb, and suddenly it's becoming bigger and bigger, right, as it goes up in the sky. So immediately Brahma also, he realizes that if this is something I myself don't know how it has happened, that means it's only the work of Lord Vishnu Narayana who is creating this. It's definitely him, right? Lord Narayana who is actually coming in this form for a particular reason. So, and then that's what Brahma comes to the realization. So at that time, this boar then becomes bigger and bigger in size, right? So as it starts growing, and eventually it emits a very ghora ghoram. Jagarjita ghora ghoram is like it emits a very terrifying roar, saying that it has now arrived, right? So it's become massive in size, and we'll see how big the boar is, right, later on. So it becomes very massive in size and it emits a very terrifying roar. Kosa vachintya. So kaha, asau, achintya, multiple words they're joined. So kosa vachintya mahima kitiruttitome, comma, nasa putat kimu bhavedajitasya maya. So it's the maya of the Lord, right? Because of which this is happening. Bhavedajitasya maya. Ittam vichintayati dhatari shaila matraha, comma, sadyo bhavan kila jagarjita ghora ghoram. Like I said, Bhattaripad always talks in first person only. So he says, oh Guru Ayappa, you became even bigger and bigger and you were emitting this roar, right? Kosa vachintya mahima kitiruttito me nasa putat kimu bhavedajitasya maya. Ittam vichintayati dhatari shailamatraha sadyo bhavan kila jagarjita ghora ghoram.
कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्थितो मे नासापुटत् किमु भवेत् अजितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्तयति धातरि शैलमात्रः सद्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम् कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्थितो मे नासापुटत् किमु भवेत् अजितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्तयति धातरि शैलमात्रः सद्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्
कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्यतो मे नासापुटान् किमु भवेद जितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्तयति दातरि शौलमात्रः सद्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्.
Yeah. The third line, dhathari.
Dhathari, yeah, dharati, I said. Dhathari, yeah. Dhathari, shola matraha.
Sorry, shaila matraha. That was the correction I was going to give. Not shaula matraha. Shaila matraha.
Shaila matraha, okay. Kosavachintya mahima katirutyato me.
Kitiruttito me.
Kitirutyato me nasaputan kimu bhaved jitasya maya ittam vichintayati datari शैलमात्रः सद्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्.
I might go to second line, first word, nasa putat it sound.
Nasa putat kimu bhaved jitasya maya.
Yeah, you got it. I think you should be saying nasa putan before. Anyway, I got it correct now. Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namah. End the class here today. सान्ध्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालधेशावदिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Radhakrishna,
Thank you, Rajesh.
Rajesh, can we call you quickly?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.